Hey everyone, I wanted to make a little showcase of my Bocchi the Rock preset for the Helix. You will need one of the larger units, so Helix LT, Floor, or Rack, or Helix Native alternatively, and you will need a 3.7 update because that's the only one that it will work with. Any other update won't have the amp that I'm using right now, so yeah. For anyone that simply wants the preset, you can just go down in the description and you'll find it in custom tone and probably Google Drive as well. That is, if you don't have an account, you can just download it from there. But otherwise, I'll just quickly get into it. Right here, I have a couple of pedals, but I want to talk about the amp more specifically. This is a Breed 2203. It is an amp that was introduced in the latest update, and it is basically a stock Marshall JCM 800. The Bocchi the Rock album, as far as I'm concerned, uses JCM 900, but the Helix doesn't have one, so an 800 will do, and it's basically the same thing, so that's what I'm using. I'm also using greenback cabs. These are the 25s. I went with a 57 dynamic and 30 dynamic. I don't really know why I went with those. They just sounded good and felt pretty good to play on. That's pretty much about it. Then into a high cut, low cut EQ that goes into a chorus that I only use for certain songs like that band, and I think also Western Spring Blue Sky. Some delay that I use very frequently in certain songs, and so I have like the snapshot takes here, as well as a reverb that I use pretty much everywhere. I don't really ever turn it off, and it stays pretty much the same every time for every snapshot. But that's pretty much how the chain of effects goes. As for effects before the amp, I'll explain these 5 ones before. I have the Lux comp over here, and really all it's doing here is providing a little bit more input, just a little bit more level. It isn't really compressing too much, the ratio is very low, and the main purpose is to keep things a little bit more even, but it's not really meant to crunch the signal. So it's just to more appropriately send the signal into the amp, I guess. It's something that I've gotten used to doing. It doesn't really have a lot of purpose. Then I have a kinky boost, which I use rarely, but here and there. Basically, it's there to fatten up the signal, and it gives a little bit of distortion, more low-end distortion, I guess. So in certain songs where I feel that I need a little bit of extra punch to the low end, I will simply add a kinky boost. Then into a compulsive drive, which is the most important drive in the whole tone. It kind of gives the amp a little bit more bite, more growl, if you will. It makes things a lot more aggressive. When I was making this tone and I found that this drive works so well, it was kind of a breakthrough for me. So it is by far the most important. Then going into a Minotaur, I mostly put this here because I saw the lead guitarist for the Kazoku Band album using the Minotaur, or the Clone Centaur if you will. But it also works to boost the signal, and it is pretty good at doing that, so I've left it there. And lastly, Pocket Fuzz, which is the only fuzz so far that I've used that I haven't disliked a lot. I'm not a huge fan of fuzzes, but I use this one just to boost the signal a little bit more, but making it a lot warmer, cutting off a lot of the high end without making it insufferable. It's just a nice fuzz, and I use it here and there. Now this preset is divided into 7 snapshots, and you may ask yourself, why 7 when the Helix can do 8? It's because I'm lazy, and I haven't really figured out a use for the 3rd snapshot, which is the one that is currently not assigned to anything. The idea is that you use the Helix in snapshot mode for different songs, and when you go into a snapshot and you want to play a song, that you switch to stomp mode, so you can individually set up every pedal however you wish, but I will showcase how I use them. So I'm in the Decision Complex snapshot, and this is how it looks initially. I only use the OCD pedal mostly for rhythm parts, and I will use the Minotaur. I will enable it for more lead lines as well as the solo. And for Rock and Roll Morning Falls on You, I think it's on you, I'll use the fuzz because it simply adds a little bit more character without sounding too aggressive. So, for example, the starting line of Decision Complex, I'll only use the OCD, but I'll use the Minotaur for the later line. And I'll take off the Minotaur and only use the OCD for everything else. Because the Minotaur is simply way too much, and the idea is to use it for lines or for the solo, not really overuse it, otherwise it simply sounds weird. So that's sort of how I use it. For other songs such as Morning Light Falls on You, I was using the fuzz. I simply think this fuzz adds a little bit more character without completely destroying the top end, without destroying your ears, basically. It doesn't fuzz too much, right? It is just the right amount of fuzz, that's what I think. But moving on to the next preset. So this is one that I will use for Guitar Loneliness and Blue Planet, as well as Secret Bass. So outside of using both the Minotaur and OCD, I'm also using the Kinky Boost, sorry. And the reason being is I feel certain notes don't have as much low end behind them without the Kinky Boost. So I use it for the line, for example, at the beginning. If I do this without it, maybe it's not that noticeable of a difference, but it does make a difference to me, so that's why I use it. For later lines, I will use to disable both the Kinky Boost and the Minotaur, and I'll just use the OCD. And I will take it off for the little section before the chorus, which is supposed to be more clean. But I also play a little bit lighter. And then for the chorus, I activate the OCD and Minotaur. And that's pretty much how I use it for Guitar Loneliness and Blue Planet. As for Secret Bass, I haven't really decided too much. I haven't played this song for quite some time. But for the beginning, at the very least, I mostly used OCD and Minotaur. And then for later lines, I might use just the OCD. And I might even switch pickups. I don't really know exactly how this song plays. There hasn't been any video showcasing it, but I do think they switch at some point to either the neck or the middle pickup. And I'll just switch back to the bridge pickup for other sections, like the chorus. And that's how I use that one snapshot. I haven't really used this snapshot too much because I haven't learned the song yet, which is kind of funny, but this is a Western Spring Blue Sky snapshot. And I use pretty much just the neck pickup on this. And that's pretty much all I've learned. Next up is the Constellation snapshot. This is probably the hardest one to explain because it also introduces the two blocks that I haven't talked about too much yet, which are the simple pitch and the wah pedal. So first I'll just showcase how it sounds. So that's with the neck pickup. I don't really use the bridge pickup, but it sounds like this. But this part is meant to be played with the neck pickup only, so. So the thing about these two blocks I haven't talked about too much. I won't showcase the wah because it is simply too hard for me to access the wah right now. My leg is in a stool, and it will be a little bit weird to try to use it right now. But it sounds okay. You can honestly change it to whatever you like. I simply used UK wah, I think it is. But talking more specifically about the simple pitch that I use, I'll use this block only in certain songs and only in certain sections because it isn't overused in the album, but it is very noticeable when it is. For example, Into the Light uses it quite a lot in the intro and some of the lead lines, But I've also noticed that it is used in Never Forget, and If I Could Be a Constellation, this is how it's set up here. So it sounds more like an addition to the lead line than anything. It isn't meant to be overbearing, but it is meant to add a little bit extra to it. Moving on to some of the more gain-driven tones, we have the Never Forget one. So this one also uses the simple pitch in certain sections, the intro and the outro specifically. Again, not meant to be overused. Moving on to the That Band snapshot. This one is very trebly. It has more treble than most of the other presets. If I go into the Never Forget snapshot, you can see the treble going down. Same thing for the Station Complex one, and really it is the one that with the most treble by far. Without any pedals, this is how it sounds. So it is very clear. And I found it works especially well with the middle pickup once the OCD is enabled. I use this not just for That Band, but also for Cara Cara, if that's the name of the song. As for That Band specifically, I don't love the song too much, so I don't play it too much. I do plan to cover it at some point, but I do use the Minotaur. I might have to lower the gain on this at some point, because I do think it's a little bit too much. But for the intro... I don't know. I don't play it too much, I'm sorry. But I also use the delay as slapback delay. This is one of the most important uses of delay. It gives you a little bit more room. But yeah, in Cara Cara, for example. Sorry for the ear-splitting harmonic there. But that's how that preset sounds like. I don't really use the other pedals. I seldom use the pocket fuzz. I'll maybe use it in the solo of the Cara Cara. Because it gives a good amount of sustain. That's also one of the things that I like about it. But I don't really use the Kinky Fuzz in this preset. I just use those three. Mostly the OCD is what I think gives the tone its character. And the last snapshot I got for you is the Into the Light snapshot. So I use this pretty much exclusively for Into the Light. It was tailored very specifically to that sound. Because Into the Light, I think, has a lot of pickup swaps, and I needed something that accommodated all of those pickup swaps. So for the beginning, I'll use pretty much all pedals except the fuzz. And once I'm moving into the lead section, I'll use the simple pitch to simulate that extra note that they add in the album. That's pretty much all I use it for. And like I said, I do use it in other snapshots, but in this one it is the most noticeable. Moving on to other sections of the song, I'll probably switch to the neck pickup, and I'll only use the OCD because I don't really need a lot of gain. I just need more high-end, more treble, which is what the OCD kind of gives you. And after that, I'll use the Minotaur for the following sections. Pretty much everything else uses the Minotaur, but I'll eventually swap to the middle position because I need a little bit more bite, and I get too much with the bridge, too little with the neck, so I switch to the middle. I think provides a decent amount. And that's what I will mostly use for the rest of the song. There's a couple of sections here and there that I will use the bridge pickup for, like the section that goes where the second chorus will be. That's where I use the bridge pickup, but otherwise I'll just switch back to the middle pickup. And I think that pretty much covers everything that I wanted to talk about when it comes to this tone, well, this preset in general. Nothing much else to say. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff that you can edit and play with. You can add more blocks if you want, if you have enough DSP, if you have enough room. So yeah, I hope you like the preset. If you have any questions or if you want me to do anything about the preset, let me know in the comments and I'll try to get back to you. More covers coming sometime in the future. I don't really know. Thank you guys for watching my videos. These past few months of more consistent uploading have been pretty nice, seeing all of your comments. I don't really know how that It's Raining After All cover got so many views. I know like 4K may not seem like a lot, but it has been a lot for me. So thank you guys again. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.